Julie here, and in my video on coping with child OCD today, I'm going to try and help parents to sort of identify the difference between what it would be like with a child facing normal anxiety during these times and when it might be something a bit more serious and when they might be actually developing OCD symptoms. Alright, but first of all, I just want to say it's a really special day for me today. I've got a special t-shirt on, Hank the Hungry Monster, and I've got my Hank mug. And I just want to say that today's a special day, and I'll tell you why at the end of the video. But it's related to child OCD. So I've had lots of people recently asking me, with parents being with children as young as 6 years old, saying that their children are becoming a bit worrying because their hands are red raw where they're washing their hands all the time, or some of them are refusing to go out because they're afraid of dying. And when I hear of children as young as 6 already experience these sort of OCD symptoms, then obviously it becomes quite upsetting for me, because having gone through and had to cope with a teenager with OCD, that was difficult enough for the teenager. So I can only just imagine what it must be like to have a 6-year-old already developing symptoms of OCD. So what I would say is this: if you can, obviously all children during these times are going to be a bit anxious. It's understandable. We're sort of being fed fear at the moment. Everything's doom and gloom. Everything's locked down. People are wearing masks. We've been told to wash our hands, hand sanitize. And to some degree, everybody will get a little bit of a fixation on it, no matter what your age group. But when it becomes more of a problem is if, for example, if you glance down your children's hands and they're red raw, then that would indicate that something more is going on. Or if you find that a child is constantly washing their hands, or hand washing suddenly doesn't become enough and then they need to hand sanitize, and then that won't become enough, then they'll need to spray surfaces. Or you might notice little signs where they maybe won't hand something to you because they're afraid of maybe germs passing from you to them and so forth. You might get children who sort of want to stay in, where they want to avoid going out in case they catch this COVID-19. So my advice would be this. It's a very difficult one to give advice on, actually, because obviously we've got to be aware of COVID and we've got to respect it, and we've got to carry out the instructions that have been said to us, such as washing hands and hand sanitizing, because obviously it makes sense. But I think what we need to do with children, particularly younger children, is to stress that it's a temporary measure. This isn't something that's going to be permanent in their lives, and this isn't something that's normal in our life. It's something abnormal that's happening. So it's not something we're going to always have to, or hopefully not always have to do. So we're not always going to have to wash our hands loads of times in the day, or hand sanitize, or even worse, walk around in masks and avoid everyone and avoid hugs. Just stress that it's temporary. The other thing I would do as well is maybe just to stress that it's not going to harm them, that they're perfectly safe, that the only reason we do these things, and maybe just to protect the vulnerable and the elderly, maybe say that it could be that gran or grandpa might become ill. I wouldn't even mention death, just so they could become a bit poorly. We don't want them to become poorly, so we're just going to wash our hands just in case. I think that just in case is an important word rather than it being forced. So we're going to do it just in case. You know, they might feel a bit poorly, because you don't want grandma to be poorly. And I think to avoid the word safe and to avoid negative words, negative even being COVID, because I know in our home, as much as I try and avoid it, the focus of conversation with everybody seems to be pandemic, COVID. Try and talk about other things in the home. Try and offer some sort of distraction and some place where they're not sort of filled with all this COVID conversation. I try and have some more positivity. Don't refer to contamination or germs or viruses. And don't sort of put command words in there. Don't say, like, we have to do this or we have to do that. I would just sort of put into, again, the temporary sort of message and say we just need to do that at the moment. And we just need to do that just in case. So they're not such hard command words that sort of might, you know, instill rituals in them. And then if your child is already being affected by this and they find it difficult to sort of maybe stop washing their hands, or becoming obsessed with it, or becoming nervous about passing on germs or whatever, then I think you might have already reached another phase whereby they're now displaying OCD symptoms. And what are 2 tips I would give in this scenario, and that is distraction and rewards. Distraction work wonderfully when you're trying to help your child cope with OCD. Distraction, it can be in conversation. If you find that they're getting fixated on their hand washing or anything like that, or going to have a meltdown, just change the conversation straight away either take them out for a walk, take them out in a car. Going out in a car worked really well with our teenage daughter. When she was having an OCD meltdown, we would just put her in the car, go for a ride to the coast, and it would be amazing how her anxiety levels would reduce. With a younger child, maybe sit down and colour with them, play their favourite board game, but just do it in the moment. As soon as you can see them becoming anxious or stressed, and this doesn't just have to be with OCD, it can be with any sort of anxiety, just distract them. Just in that moment, change the conversation or change what you're doing and do something they really enjoy doing. As I say, it could be going out for a walk, it could be going out splashing in puddles in the rain, it could be playing a board game, it could be popping off in the car. Anything that they enjoy doing, change it in that time and moment, and hopefully then, and just supposing they won't sort of hand you a pen or they won't touch something you're doing, when you're actually in the process of distracting them, try and get them to pass that item to you or to touch something as you're talking to them. And chances are, if you catch in the early stages, if you're having a conversation or distracting them in some other way, if you're on a walk or if you're drawing or whatever you might be doing, just ask them to do that thing they were reluctant to do. And chances are, as long as they're focused and distracted on something else, they will do it, and that will hopefully stop it becoming a problem. Another way we're coping with child OCD or teenage OCD is in the form of rewards. We found this work very, very well with our teenage daughter when she had OCD symptoms, and that is to offer a reward. So if you're noticing something becoming a ritual, just say, let's suppose they're washing their hands 3 times at a time instead of once. Just say to them, I tell you what, if you can reduce it to twice tomorrow, I'll buy you an ice cream, or I'll buy you a McDonald's treat, or in my daughter's case, it was buy a coffee. Just anything they might relate to, and it'll make it worth their while and motivate them to stop doing. Then the following day, if they get it down to 1 wash instead of the original 3, offer a slightly bigger reward. I don't know, if you'd offered them a Coke the day before, maybe offer them a takeaway meal, a pizza or something, whatever you know is going to appeal to them. So as I say, in the first instance, I would sort of not make it sound so severe and so permanent, make it a temporary thing. It's just for now, it's just in case, and it's just, it won't harm you, but it's just to protect older and sick people who might become sick anyway, but just in case it makes them more sick, just make it a temporary and not a permanent thing. If you can see them already displaying signs of it, distraction and rewards work very, very well in trying to reduce anxiety and trying to help cope and deal with OCD symptoms in teenagers and in young children. Okay, I hope this video has helped, because I say I've become really concerned by how many people are already saying to me they're concerned about their children showing signs of OCD. And now on to my message, my big message for today. I'm going to go forward. See my t-shirt, Hank the Hungry Monster, and I'm going to show you the back as well, which is Annabelle, and my website, which is www.themindmonsters.co.uk, and I've even got my Hank mug, and that is to celebrate the fact that today is a really special day for me. I have actually published my first children's storybook. It's called Hank the Hungry Monster by Julie Derrick, and guess what it's about? It's raising awareness to child OCD, okay, and how to help and deal with OCD and how to cope with it, because it can be very, very challenging. And the message I'm trying to relay in the book is for parents to spot the signs early in order to stop it getting out of control. It's okay, so I'll just give you a flick through there, quick flick through my book. And it's available to order. It costs £10, and if you order off my website direct, I'll actually hand sign it for you if you tell me what name you want me to put in the book, and I'm going to give a free little gift in there as well. And the big thing is as well, I'm actually donating 50% to CAMS, which is children and adolescent mental health services, because without their free services, my daughter wouldn't be cured like she is today. So I'm eternally grateful for them, and I want to give something back. Alright, so that's it for today. Hope it's helped you if you've got a child that's displaying symptoms of OCD and you want tips on how to cope and deal with OCD. That's it for today's video. Thanks for watching, and again, please support me with my book. Thanks very much. Bye for now.